Welcome to Timebender Talks, the ultimate destination for professional photographers. This weekly podcast is hosted by Peggy McCartha, a certified professional photographer with over 30 years experience and the creator of the Headshot Strategist certification program. Peggy interviews a diverse range of experts in business, branding, marketing, networking, and photography. So whether you've been doing this for years or you're just starting out, we've got you covered. Oh, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on our latest episodes filled with tips, insights, and lots of fun.
Wow. Oh, I have a treat for you guys today. I have my friend Brian with me and his wife Lisa. Now, Brian, if you're in the certification program, he taught the most, like literally his class was probably worth the price of admission for the whole thing. When I tell you this guy can sell, he can sell. And recently I discovered that he's been hiding his amazing wife, Lisa, from me. So I said, I want the duo on here. So we are going to have a really good show today. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you as well. Your intro rocks, by the way. Your intro commercial is beautiful. It's fantastic. And
I have to agree with you. And, you know, I happen to know an actor that does voiceover acting. And I kind of bullied him into as many self-tapes as I record and as many things as I do. Yeah, that's my husband that does the voice. As many things as I'm like, hey, you know what? I need a cool intro for my podcast. So
it's really good. Well done. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
But so I want to introduce ourselves. I'm the sales confidence coach, Brian K. McNeill. And this is my beautiful wife, Lisa Santiago McNeill. And together make up what's called the Empowerment Duo. And Peggy McCartha, I am super excited to be here with her because not only she was my client, but she became one of the warmest, friendliest people that I like. I always love every phone call, every Zoom, because you're warm and fun every time. I always
thank you.
Better. You always make me feel that way.
That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. So, that was a great introduction. Lisa, tell us where you guys are on your journey. Like, we know that you make up this amazing duo, but tell us what you're doing with that.
So we are the Empowerment Duo, and we do a podcast Monday through Friday talking about personal conversation, business information, and spiritual inspiration with a little bit of shenanigans thrown in. This is our 8th year. We're starting our 8th year this month in October. We are also very civic. As you know, he is the sales confidence coach. I am the coach's coach and publisher. I help women, particularly who have gone through some area in their life. Oftentimes it's traumatic induced, but I help them to realize that they didn't go through that trauma for nothing. They went through that trauma. They learned some things. And through that experience, if we navigate through it together, they will find lessons that they learned that they can now share with other people to help them to go through it easier or faster than they could have on their own. So I help them to become a coach. I certify many of them. I help them to publish, and we also podcast and promote their services.
You guys are busy.
She didn't even tell you everything.
No.
At the same time, she hosts Women Empowerment Networks. We both are authors, by the way.
That's right.
That is my
latest book.
I am so excited about that book. I'm going to talk about that book. But I facilitate a men's group since 2013. So we're in our 10th year of that.
Yes.
Called Male Empowerment Networks.
But I think it's important to note that while we are in our 10th year of Male Empowerment Networks and Women Empowerment Networks, we've only known each other for 8 years.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. So you guys started off doing the same thing, and then we're like, oh my gosh, yeah.
You were doing it for women, I was doing it for men, and in different cities.
Yep.
And we didn't even know each other.
Didn't know each other.
I did not know that story. Brian's been holding out on me.
I guess so.
There's plenty of stories, but this is our 10th year for that. in October as well, isn't it?
August made 10 years.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, congratulations. That is, and you guys kind of started doing it pretty much at the same time, separately.
Separately, and then brought it together. And then a lot of things we were like, oh wow, oh wow, you do that. Oh wow, you do that. We're going into November, which is our 9th year with the Charlotte Community Drivers.
Yeah, we're very civic that way.
Yeah.
But you talk about, meeting up. The first day we met in person was at my workshop. I was doing a workshop called How to Sell Your Services Like a Superstar. And it was going to be a 3-hour workshop. And she was the first person to show up. Okay. Now I had met her on the phone before then.
We never met face to face.
But that was our first face-to-face meeting.
Wow.
And within minutes of her showing up, she kind of took control of the whole workshop. She took control, and because I was by myself, I was about to conduct the workshop and I was trying to direct the workshop, and it was just too much. But she immediately saw what needed to be done, took control. She stayed for the whole 3 hours. I took her to lunch, and then she came back for this. I was doing 2 the same day. She came back for the second 3-hour one, managed that the whole one too.
And it was really good. I wasn't bored, even though I had 6 hours of Brian K. McNeill.
On the first day.
Right? Your first date. You put her to work on your first date. That's pretty good.
I couldn't have asked her to do all she did.
He kissed me on the first date also. As a matter of fact, he kissed me within the first 5 minutes.
First 5
seconds.
When I greeted her, she came in, Peggy looked fantastic. She was looking fly. She had a tall blonde mohawk and a short mini skirt and high heels, and she had her makeup done well, and I saw those pretty legs, and I was like, oh my God. So I can dance, ballroom dancing, So I put her hand and I did a ballroom move. I moved her this way, then I spun the lady around, brought her home, kissed her on her cheek, and I spun her out and let her go. And she fell right in with the dance move. I had never done that before to anybody I just met.
Or since.
Wow, that is awesome. That is hilarious. And thank you for sharing that story, because I've known you for a few years and I have never heard that story.
Oh, Peggy, we've got a lot to catch up with.
Yes,
that is awesome. Yeah, we've already made it clear right before we hit the record button that Lisa and I will now be communicating making all the plans. Yes, now I see why. She's like, you know what? Let me just run your show for you, because you're a mess, buddy. Let me help you. You got some good stuff to say, but let me help you here.
She thought this boy needs help.
So tell us why you're passionate about empowering people to succeed.
Well, I can start if that's okay. So really, so often, or more often than not, people may have a latent belief or understanding that they have this purpose. But unfortunately, we start looking outside before we start looking inside. And we look at people that might be in their second level, third level, fourth level of doing something amazing, and we begin to judge our humble beginnings with their already created progress. And so we begin to retreat. So helping them, God has given me this gift where I can see inside the seed. I can see inside what you're actually growing in there, what's in there, and I help to nurture it out of you. And I think that is really, really an important part of helping people to walk in their empowerment.
I love that.
We both are believers. I'm a believer as well. And I asked the question, why did God give me the love of selling? Why did he give me the big desire to keep reading everything on it and learning and going to all these things? And why did he give me the desire to do so many sales presentations and sell and miss sales and try? And why have I trained thousands of people and still love it? I think that he has uniquely gifted and qualified and prepared me to teach people how to sell themselves and their services. Absolutely. There's a reason why I've read more than 700 books on how to sell, because I'm supposed to do it. And I'm supposed to do it as good as I can. And if I don't do it, there are people who won't earn as much money as they could because I didn't do it. Yeah. So I honor my Heavenly Father by teaching people what I'm supposed to do. He gave me this gift and I'm supposed to use it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
I love that because I feel like if we have the desire within us, we have the ability to carry that out. If I have the desire to do something, then I also have the ability to make
Right
that
within you.
happen.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't have this dream or this burning desire to do something if I also
Absolutely.
didn't have the tools that I'm equipped with to succeed at that.
And those
Just
tools sometimes have to be nurtured.
exactly. You got to learn how to use the tools.
That's it.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of tools laying around this house that I don't know how to use.
Exactly. But you could learn if you wanted to.
I could learn.
Mhm.
And I was just talking to a friend this morning on the phone, and she said, "How long have you been doing the studio?" Because I just repainted my floors and I was working in the studio. I was talking to her, and she said, she asked me that, and I said, "Well, I've had a studio for 29 years, but I've been a professional photographer for like 35 years." She goes, "Aren't you tired of it?" And I was like, it had never occurred to me.
It
I
had
was
never
like,
occurred to
no.
you. It had
Right.
never occurred to you to be tired of what you do.
Because it's your purpose. And you can't
Yeah.
convince somebody else. That's one of the things that we have to get a grip of as entrepreneurs, as solopreneurs, as people operating in our gifts, that what is exciting to you, you have to refuel it, but you don't have to convince somebody to be exciting with you about
Right.
it, excited
Oh my
with you
gosh.
about it.
One of my coaches, I collect great mentors and great coaches, and I call them my guys. I have like 4 of them that I call on and reach out for stuff. And one of the guys, he's known me more than 20 years, like 25 years. And I was talking with him about how effective my trainings are. And some people do the work, some people don't do the work. He goes, "Brian, I've known you like 25 years. And it has taken, and you've always been in sales. You've always been studying sales. You've always talked about sales. And it's taken you this long to get this good." And he says, "Guess how many other people love it as much as you and want to study it as much as you?" He goes, "Nobody else does." Okay. So for you to want them to want to have as much as you have is not reasonable, Brian.
Right.
You got to impact improvement. You got to help them, but they're not don't even want it as good as you.
But that's what you're created for.
Right.
That's what you're created
Right.
for. That's what we got. I tell my clients often, tell my coaching clients, when God gave you this gift and he gave you this conversation about what he wanted you to be and what he wanted you to become, it wasn't a conference call.
That's true. It was for you.
And
I think that people overlook this, and I think this is a big thing, is that you need to master you. Don't worry about anybody else. Like be the best you, because somebody else is already doing, like there's already Brian, there's already Elisa. Let's do Peggy. I'm going to do Peggy.
Right.
And the things that I'm good at, you maybe aren't good at. The things that you're good at, I'm clearly not good at. That's why I'm like listening to the podcast and reading the books. And you don't even know how many times I've listened. The course that you taught for the program, you don't even know how many times I've listened to that.
Well,
because I'm going to tell you something that you may not realize impacted me that you said, but it kind of stung. It was a little bit of a sting.
Oh, wow.
And that was when I was putting this program together. I said, "Hey, Brian, do you want me to pay you up front, or do you want to sign into like a commission to every time I sell something?" And you're like, "Pay me up front. I don't know if you're any good at selling."
I didn't say that.
You did. I say that? You said, "I don't know." You said something to the effect like, "Since you're selling it, not me."
Right.
Like, and I was like, that hurt.
I'm sorry.
But it was true. No, it wasn't like, but I was like, did he just say that? And am I about to write him a check right now? Like,
yes.
But it's true. And that's so one thing that a lot of us do is we think we have to be good at everything, and we don't.
No, we don't.
We don't have to be good at everything. Be good at the things you're good at.
I remember that conversation.
I have that same conversation with many of my authors because I don't take any percentage of their royalties. I'm a hybrid publisher, so I do all the work. You get all the credit. But guess what I don't get? I don't get any of the royalties, because after I hand you the baby, if you sit it on the shelf, that's good. That's your business.
It won't sell at all.
It won't sell at all because books don't sell themselves. Now, if you enter into a marketing campaign with me where I can help you to get bestseller and do all of those things to market and promote your book, I still don't take any royalties. You pay me for what I teach you because you may find that it is too much for you to do. I don't want to do this. And guess what? I still gave you all of the information. I still trained you.
You still did all the work.
Right. No, that's on you.
Why don't you brag a little bit, Lisa? How many books have you brought to life and published?
I have published 186 books now, 93 authors, and 25 best-selling authors.
25 best-selling authors.
2 international.
Wow. Yeah. That is really great.
I published 6 books myself through her company.
I was about to say, you didn't publish nothing.
No, I got them done. I got them done through her company. See, that's the thing. She has a publishing company, a hybrid publishing company where she helps people to get their books published in our house. We're in her office right now. My office is down the hall, and I have a sales coaching business. Together, we have the podcast. I am in support of her business as much as I can, and she's in support of my business as much as she can. So we have separate businesses and overlapping businesses, and we live together. Okay. Now, how can we do that? We could do that because I live and I work with my very best friend. That's how we can do that.
Absolutely. I'm really fortunate, like you. My husband is an actor, so he's home a lot. Like, I don't know what people think actors do, but when they work a lot. And when they don't work, they're home a lot. But even when they're home, there's like, now the auditions are pretty much all self-tapes, which means I am the one recording that and doing
I didn't know that.
So, almost, there's been a strike, but, last year, he would have 1 to 2 auditions a day. Mm-hmm. And so that would take hours of my time.
Yeah.
And we would work that into my schedule. And then I have my own clients, and then I'm building my own business. And, but the reason that worked was because my business, helps his business, and his business helps my business. Right. And, we were able, even though we don't do the same thing at all, our businesses overlap in a really beautiful way. And, thank God we have a lot of space in our home because we're here a lot together.
Yes. And you need space to be able to get away from each other.
Absolutely. Okay? And although our businesses are very different, one of the things that I realized early on was that being certified as a sales confidence coach myself, it helps through him. It helps my clients because they get the benefit of the sales coaching and training along with their projects.
That's because you're willing to do that. I'm not. I'm very, very narrow in my focus.
Because it's degrees to what I do.
Right. But I tell her, I let them know up front, I'm only going to help you to sell yourself and your services, earn more money. And I told them up front, I knew I did the right thing. There was a lady the other day. She was already brimming with emotion. So I braced myself. And I told her, look, I'm only going to help you to sell you and your services. I said, I'm not a life coach. Okay, so
did she start crying on you?
She did. Let me tell you. I said, now look, when people start crying on me, that's not what I can do. I can't work like that, and I'm not going to work like that. Okay, I will refer that person out.
He usually screams for me.
I normally say, Lisa, come get this, but
he's holding a baby.
So
take it.
Say that. She heard me say that, and then we kept going, but she welled up when she started talking about her mother or something. She started to well up, and she did her best to compose herself, and I wanted to give her some time, but I'm not that. I can't do everything. So,
well, and I think that's good. That's part of mastering yourself. That's part of knowing what you are good at. Like, you don't have to be good at those things. That's why you got Lisa there, right?
Right. And when we shared an office building, her office used to be down the hall from me. We work out of home now, but when we had a real building
before the
pandemic. I would go talk to Lisa in her office, or I'd call Lisa in and come and get the person. Okay, so she would do it. And sometimes, Peggy, turns out that they should have been with her in the first place.
Yeah.
They weren't ready to be with me yet.
Yeah.
They needed to go through her first to get some stuff together before they're even ready to sell.
That's really the benefit of what it is that I get to do.
Well, I think that there's a lot of like, there's a lot of most people have traumas, like whether it's
Absolutely.
big or small. There's triggers that influence how we deal with money, how we deal with sales, how we deal with our own
Absolutely.
businesses, because we have these things that we were,
Yeah.
that were set on
Yeah.
us generationally or at
Mhm.
birth, like all these things that are, going on, the way we think about money. Maybe your parents said, rich people are evil. So in the back of your head, you're like, I can't be rich because that would make me evil. Even if you
Right.
don't say it out loud,
Right.
you may have those things that you
Great
haven't
analogy.
dealt with yet. And so it takes a lot. And so if somebody's to the point where they're like tearing up when you're talking about sales, it's probably because they're dealing with some stuff
Yeah.
that you brought up, some triggers that they may not have known they had. So
Absolutely.
that's like, okay, Lisa, you need to fix this.
But you're right. And who knows what the trigger could have been? I don't know. But I mean, sometimes they get to me desperate. If I don't get a new paying client, I'm going to have to gulp real hard and stop doing what I love and go take a corporate job. They might have loved helping people with this and they want to do it and they believe they're supposed to do it, but they haven't figured out how to earn $1 with it yet. They need a sale now. And it's really hard to make sales when you have that I need money stamp on your forehead. So
exactly, because that energy is an energy of desperation. And it's physical. Like people can see it. You say, oh, you can't see it. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
The camera will capture emotions. I tell this to people all the time.
wow.
The camera captures emotions. So when you're in front of my camera and you're thinking, oh my God, I hope I look okay. I hope my hair is okay. I hope my eye doesn't do that weird thing. Oh, I feel bloated today. Oh my God. Are these pictures going to look good?
You manifest.
You know what? Those pictures show all of your insecurities. When you look
wow.
at it, you're like, it's okay. But on the other hand, you're like, the only picture I ever had that I liked was at that party and that friend snapped it and I didn't even know. Why? Because you were having fun at the party and that picture captured that emotion.
Wow.
So
you understand it differently than just a regular person taking pictures. You understand it.
Yeah. So think about that in just the general. If you look at your picture when you're nervous and you're like, I'm something off about that. I don't really like how I look. That's exactly when you're trying to sell something and you're all in your, you got to buy from me or I'm not paying rent.
Yeah.
Then people are like, whoa, I don't know what it is, but
exactly.
And it's the same thing. So when you're in that state of desperation, it shows.
Absolutely.
It
And
shows.
no one, even if they don't know why, they can't trust you enough to buy from you.
That's
they can't.
Yeah, they don't know what it is, but it's that you're putting off something.
Yeah.
You're putting off something that's like, whoa.
That's right. They don't get it. That vibe is just repelling. Absolutely. It's
because
repelling.
When you're in that desperate area, you don't really believe in what you're selling.
That's the key.
You're right.
That's the key.
Because if you believed in what you were selling, you wouldn't be like, how come I can't sell this? You got to buy this.
And really, I love how you put that. They're desperate. You don't believe in it. That's all true. And the other thing is true is they're selling to people
instead of
for them. Okay, because if you're selling to, I need this sale so I can get money. But if you're selling for them, they're better off. When you know they're better off, that keeps you from having that I need money stamp. Okay, Are they better off if they give me the money I asked for and they take the service? Are they better off? And then there's, are you sure? Are you sure they're better off? And you need to be sure.
You need to be as sure about them being better off, as sure as themselves.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Because I want every client is a report card.
Yep.
Every client is a report card. So if I don't feel like I'm going to go into excellence with you, I'm not going. I don't take calculus for that reason.
And Merritt gets irritated with me because I don't take every client that comes to me.
No.
And it freaked him out when we first got together. He was like, and I was like, they wouldn't have been happy with the job because we would have been miserable in the studio
the whole time.
and I wouldn't have been able to pull out good emotions from them. Their pictures would have been meh at the best.
Absolutely.
Because and they would have worn me out. They would have, can you do this? Can you do this? Can you do this? And it would have cost me hours of time. And then on top of that, they would probably leave me a bad review.
That part.
Or at least definitely not leave me a good review and definitely not send me anyone.
That's right. Every client is a report card.
It's always fit
before fee.
You have a right to your personality, and so do they. And you have a right to the way you want to work, and so do they. And you have a right to the rate of speed, and so do they. But it's got to be a good fit for it to work. And you're not supposed to sell to everybody. You're not supposed to service everybody. You're not supposed to. You're supposed to sell to the ones that are good fits for you.
That's
exactly. Right. And when you come and talk to me and I say, you know what, I don't know if I'm the right fit for you, but I know this other photographer and I think you should talk to them. I think they'd be, you know, that did not hurt me.
Not at all.
That was not my money to start with.
That's right.
That was not my client to start with. That did not hurt me.
Every time I've accepted a client just for the sake of money, every time because I might have been in a mode myself, well, I want this money or I need this money. She's ready to pay me in full up front. That would be great.
More than you got.
It was always miserable.
Every time.
Hate it. I should never. I knew this was going to be bad.
Every time. I cannot think of one time. I cannot give you one example, and I've been doing this for a really long time. I cannot give you one example where in my heart I knew this was not my client, and I took it because I needed the money or because I just didn't want, you know, or before I knew that I could tell people no. Like there was a time I didn't know I could say, you know, I don't think we're a fit.
Yes, I know that now.
You know, there's another side.
One good burn will teach you.
I want to say this.
Right. Well, it took me way more than one, Lisa. Way more than one.
There's even the situation that I know of real well, and so does Lisa. When we first met, the first day we met, Lisa saw me give sales training. She saw people pay and show up to my events. And then I started giving classes, and she had an office in Charlotte, which is a bigger city than the city I lived in. So I was coming to her office, and I was doing training out of her office. She had a conference room there, too. Small conference room with a front of the room and all that kind of stuff. I was doing trainings out of there. So she had saw a bunch of this stuff. She had seen me get clients through that. And she finally came around to, because at first she didn't like selling and she didn't like salespeople, but she came around to, you know, I need some of that, learn how to sell too. So she decided to ask me, Brian, she said, I need you to coach me on how to sell in my business. Now, but she did it too late, Peggy, because by the time she asked me that, I was already smitten by her. I was already feeling her. I was already dating her, and I was wanting her to be mine. And what I found was, because she asked me so earnestly, I said, okay, I'll try to train you. But I couldn't do it because I couldn't see her dispassionately enough to be helpful. Even the first or second, it didn't feel right trying to coach my woman on how to sell. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it the way I could do anybody else.
So
you gotta have some stuff. I had to have some separation,
and I had to hustle my way into a certification. I sat in on every one of his coaching sessions with other clients.
She sat on a lot.
I went along with what he was teaching them. I read all of his content. I recorded and reviewed all of his videos, all of that. And then I wrote his book.
Well, published my books. Yeah, she published my books. So she published all of our books. So she gleaned, and she's like the best now. Okay, she even went and got certified through my company. So she's the best now. But I couldn't train her because I was smitten.
Because he was in love.
I hear you. I met Merrick taking his headshots.
You were taking his headshots.
Yep. And it took a while before I saw him. Like we knew each other for a couple of years before I saw him. You know what I mean?
Saw him. Yes.
And then it was really hard for me to take his headshots. Like it was like I've even told him, I'm like, you may have to find another photographer.
Wow.
Because like this is his like
his craft.
Actors have to have good headshots. And he was like, no, you're the only person that's ever going to take my headshots again. So I just kind of work through some things to like, I do when I do his headshots, I'm like, you're going through everything. Like all my clients, you're going through the headshot strategy session. We're mapping it out and you're coming to the studio.
Absolutely.
Because he tended to be like, you know, I saw this thing, I want you to try it. And I'm like, go to that photographer you saw it for if you want that. Like, we're not playing that game.
Right.
Because you've learned you have to have that to make it work.
But now, and then just the other day, I got the best compliment ever. I had met a casting director and she said, oh, I didn't realize you were Merrick's wife. Like, you're a photographer. Like, it was like all the things were, you know, connecting. She's like, do you take Merrick's headshots? And I said, yeah, I do. She goes, oh my God, they're so like exactly him. And I'm like, okay, I'm glad I take his headshots. But it's hard. I know that when you get that personal, you know, when you have that other layer, it's hard to pull that back and work. You know,
it kind of oversteps the boundaries. It kind of oversteps the boundaries, and it's hard to be the subject matter expert when there are so many emotional ties and constraints.
And for me, I get my feelings hurt way more with him. Any other client says anything to me, I'm like, whatever. If he's like, you know, I'm like, you don't like what I did. Like,
yeah, because he's too close.
That happens with me a lot because I'm a very sensitive artist. And that's another reason why I won't work with someone that I haven't first vetted. So because even a sharp remark can affect my work. In so many ways. And so Brian, I have to approach it differently because he's very blunt. And he doesn't mean to be anything other than just this is what I'm saying. He
told me I sucked at sales. I should take his program.
Oh, how you doing? Good morning. No. You pay me because you suck.
I did not.
I
did not say Peggy sucks at sales.
When Brian says things like, oh, I met somebody that does this and it's along the same lines of what I do. And then he starts telling me what this person said as a subject matter expert, and I know that this is my lane. I'm like, go get them to do it.
No, I'm trying to bounce it off of you. Is what I'm doing. I'm bouncing it off of you.
Oh, Lisa and I are the same. I'm like, go hire that photographer then. Like,
go ahead.
You like her style better than mine? Go for it.
God bless y'all.
I you know, it's so interesting because you're an expert. You've been doing it over 30 years. I'm an expert. I've been doing this over 30 years and I still love it. And I still study it. But there's certain words you learn to pick up on. Like when people are talking about what they do and they say stuff like, I had one earlier today. I said, gentlemen, who should work with you? He goes, anybody who wants money. When I hear those kinds of words, now I don't let myself flip out. I just hear it and I'll write it down until they finish. And then I say, well, what kind of business do you really feel like you're in? Well, I'm in the people business because I help people. Okay. So this cute and this over broad thing, both of those things, neither one of them compels and they don't sell. And I know I'm right on it. Okay. So I have to explain that to this guy earlier today. And he goes, well, I had another coach who told me such and such. And I've been working with this other coach for 10 weeks.
So why are you still talking to me?
That's what he told me.
If you already
that to him.
If you already found what you believe to be the answer, then you're not looking anymore. You're not dating anymore. You're not talking to another coach. You're not talking to you found it. Now you're going to get the information from them and apply it to yourself so you can move it to the next level.
He did go back and say, well, my other coach, he never mentioned to me the way you do about the importance of selling emotionally or logically and the importance of how do you answer the initial question of what do you do. No one ever stressed that. I've had lots of coaches and no one ever talked about it like that. Well, but he didn't hire me today. That's all right.
That's okay. Because he might not be able to afford you because he hasn't made any money from working with the other coaches.
There's that. You know, and it's so funny because you know, I used to be that photographer. I used to be that person 10 years ago. If you would say, Peggy, who's your ideal client? I beat anybody with a face.
Yeah, but it's not your personality.
It's not. And you know, when I'm doing headshots, when I'm doing the headshot strategy session with my clients, with my headshot clients, it's, you know, finding out what are you trying to do? Because you can't please everyone. So
Right.
get really specific, get
Yep.
very, very specific on what you're trying to accomplish. And then people can see you in a broader way. Oh, if you're an expert here, can you also do that? Can you let them be curious about you?
Right.
And now I see it and I laugh because I was that person. I can't tell you how many times I said it. Well, everybody's my client. Like I photograph people. Like if they're breathing, it's my client. In fact, I've done some non-breathing clients. So like, I've done some services for people.
Yes,
That's it. And but that's not my ideal.
It's not. And like I said before, it's also a very it's a very intimate creative space, and things that just don't fit, they won't fit, and they will ruin the outcome.
But I do want to add in here, when it does fit,
it's wonderful.
When it is a good client, when you see the light bulb go on, and when they testify that as a result of working with you, their lives were improved exponentially or in certain ways, it's just so worth it. It's so rewarding to me. I reread and I get my testimonials and I watch the testimonial videos because I really, and even the reviews that people write about my books or reviews of my articles, they feel like they can see my personality in my writings, because I've heard them say this before, but I like that too. Even in my talk, my platform, I want them to feel me. So that I'm earnest in this and I'm bringing it for a reason. I'm not doing nothing for sport.
And that's one of the things that I get to help people when they're getting past, well, somebody else already does that and somebody else already does that. They don't do it like you.
Right.
They don't do it like Brian. You go down to you go down the bread aisle, you can choose which kind of bread you want. There's multiple kinds of bread, but they're not the same.
Do we need bread?
They're not the same.
No.
We don't need any more bread for the house. You sure?
No, I told you I'm not even buying any more bread.
Oh, okay. So if she's not buying any more bread, that means I'm pretty much on a bread diet too. Okay. Okay. Fine.
Congratulations, Brian. You are now on a no carb diet. You're welcome.
No bread.
Fine. Bread. No problem. I can flow with it either way.
No raisin bread anyway.
Okay. I could do potatoes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want each of you to give one quick tip to the viewers that you want to leave them with. So whoever wants to start.
Go ahead, you start.
All right, a quick tip I want to leave the listeners that watch this this podcast on, and this is going to change your life. I'm gonna do it real quick within a minute time. The challenge with entrepreneurs today, I teach people how to sell. The biggest challenge I see is in their desire to not come across as salesy, they won't ask for business. Today's entrepreneur has gotten better and better and better at marketing, better and better and better at branding, better and better at funneling, and better at website design. All of this in an effort to have to not make a sale, to not speak to anybody. And I will tell you, no matter how awesome your stuff is, at some point, someone's going to have to ask for business formally. Learn to say these words right here. If you ever present something and you tell your rates, say these words. Will you give my services a try? Say it with a confidently expectant expression on your face, but give them a chance to answer. Will you give us a try? Just resolving to always do that. Always do that. Every time, if you tell your rates, if they discover your rates, you have to formally ask out of your mouth, will you give us a try? And right there, you'll sell better.
So I'm going to add to that and tell you from a person that literally just almost panics and can't even say the words. Practice, ask your dog, ask your friend, say it out loud in an empty house, say it out loud in the mirror, because the more you say it out loud, the easier it is to say it in front of someone.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I've had to walk around the house and say my prices out loud, until I was comfortable with what, and I'm like, is that all I charge for this?
Yeah. But I love that. Only professionals, only champions will do that. Okay, only the champions will do what you just did. Practice.
Absolutely.
Amateurs don't practice.
Absolutely. If I were to say anything, I would just say the thing that is holding you back, the thing that frightens you the most, the thing that you think you can't do is the one thing that's holding you back. That's the thing that you got to just step out there and do. That's what God created you for. That's what all of this aversion, all of this tenaciousness, all of this everything is, so that you would step beyond that and you will realize the greatness that has been waiting for you.
You guys, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us. Honor.
Absolutely.
This was so much fun. This was so good. Everybody is. How can they find you?
How the easiest way to find us is go to theempowermentduo.com. And you can get in touch with him and me.
Theempowermentduo.com.
Yep. Perfect. And I'll put that in the link in the description.
And all our books are there and all that stuff.
So. Everything is there. Books, links.
And don't forget the newest book. This one's marked for my grandson right now. I was excited.
The 9 most important words, the 3 most important skills,
and the 2 most important questions.
And don't think that because it's written for a kid that I didn't get some good stuff out of this.
I hear that all the time.
Absolutely. All of the children's books that we have ever written are written on the multiple level, where you're getting something out of it as well as giving something to the children. So it's that important to get it in your hands.
But how awesome to be raised with this just being second nature. Just having this thought, because we sell ourselves every day. Yeah. I want to go out to a restaurant. I'm low key selling Maricon taking me to a restaurant.
It's not that low key. It's not that low key.
It's not.
He knows what's going on.
Thank you guys so much. I had so much fun. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we'll see the rest of you next week.